Good job. Once home to Speakeasy, now it is the hub for the shopping and dining. And did you know that in November 1847, Captain James Brown bought the whole area, including some livestock, for $3,000? Not even Charles Stormont can negotiate that kind of price. Today's value is about 94,000. It was amazing. So let's start the meeting with our introduction that we usually do. I'm going to go to my right. Start with the Commissioner Menlo, please. State your name and jurisdiction.
Thank you. I'm Commissioner Rhonda Menlo. I represent Region 1 and live in Garden City, Utah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lou Kramer, Commissioner at Large, which means that I love Ogden and everything thereunto appertaining. I live in downtown Salt Lake, and it's just been a delight to be here. Thank you all.
I'm Donna Law, what Lou said. I too am a commissioner at large. My home is in Cedar City.
Hi, I am Commissioner Kevin Van Tassel.
Yeah,
I'm from Vernal, Utah. I'm a commissioner at large. It's great to be here in Ogden.
thank you. We have Commissioner Goggin is on her way by way of train. We will have to excuse Commissioner Mr. Jim is in Evans in Italy, and he may be joining us instead. We'll see. And my name is Nagi Zanadi. I am from sunny. It's going to be a heavenly rain for next 7 days. Heaven help us. And also would like to recognize our federal partners where you're sitting, Ivans and Brigitte.
Right.
There you go. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. By way of tradition, of course, we always ask Mayor of the host city to come forward and welcome us to the community. Mayor Caldwell, please, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you and to host you all here. And this is going to be a fun day and a fun meeting for everybody. It's, I'll admit, kind of interesting to be on this side of the dais after having 11 and a half years being on that side. I promise I'll be a lot more nice and reasonable than some of the comments we get from this dais. So I appreciate the work that you all do, and I appreciate your being here to do the field tour and to look at some of the projects that we have going. I was thinking about this and remembering a number of years ago that I invited Carlos to come for a mountain bike ride with me, and we had one of the projects you toured yesterday was the Ogden Canyon Trail project. That's been 80 years of conversation, people trying to find a way to make that work, and I want to just really express my appreciation to Carlos for his vision in active transportation and ways we can move around more efficiently along the Wasatch Front and be healthier and live richer lives. And I think this project is a representative of that. It's 80 years. We have documentation that they've been trying to get this done for 80 years. And so because of Carlos's leadership and the leadership of WFRC and UTA and everything else, we have a lot going on up here. You probably got to see our bus rapid transit project. That's transformational. That's a generational project. I'm really proud of the work that's happened with that. I do think that some of these active transportation corridors and everything else will be the trees we plant that our children enjoy the shade of. And so I appreciate the leadership of the state and the willingness to work together and partner on doing some things that are difficult at times. Lou, I've been around you for a long time with EDC Utah and a number of other things. I'm happy to welcome you here and to see you as chair of this. This is going to be a great day. And if there's anything we can do to help with that, and to reiterate, I look around, work with a lot of the people in this room on some of these very, very difficult projects, but the patience and the professionalism that everybody in this room and the different agencies we get to support has really allowed us to do things in the state of Utah that nobody else gets to do. They're extremely jealous. It's part of the reason that the secret sauce of Utah, that we find ways to work together and to collaborate, and with patience and persistence, we can get the right decisions. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service. I know that you guys get pulled in 1,000 different directions, not unlike a lot of other people, but that is why we are such a special state to live in and to raise our families in and educate our kids in and everything else. It's one of the reasons I'm really proud to have served for 3 terms up here. You've all heard I'm not running again, so I look forward to more mountain biking with Carlos maybe down the road. But thank you all for your service. Welcome to Ogden. Thank you for listening and doing this listening tour. And I'm really proud of the work that you all do and that all of our partners do. That partnership is absolutely key. So thank you very much.
you.
Welcome to Ogden. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
What a terrific legacy.
Yeah,
I look
thank
at the
you.
mayor and I just want to get on a bicycle. I just, Thank you, Mayor.
For the record, Commissioner Gardner is in the house and would like to ask to introduce herself and the jurisdiction that she's in.
Happy to do that. I came up on Front Runner, and so I was a little off on the, I had a 5-minute delay that made me a little late. But Natalie Gawkner, I represent Region 2, which is Salt Lake and Summit counties, and grateful to be here. Oh, and sorry, and Tooele County,
Tooele County.
which we'll be having our visit to. And I'm really grateful to be with everyone today.
Thank you. And now I would like to ask the UDOT family to be introduced. Carlos, would you please start us with that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Carlos Braceras, Utah Department of Transportation. Lisa, let's go down here and then we'll do the back and forth thing.
Lisa Wilson, Deputy Director.
Ben Hewitt, Deputy Director.
Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director.
Blaine Felder, Peter Applin, we're talking with
Bob White, Regional Director, Translator, Program Manager. Josh Danger, Director. Matt Mott. Bob Clayton on the Region 2 Director. Monty Aldridge. Matt Parker. Partner here, Andy.
yes, I think so. Did we get the Carrie Ann and the Jordan?
Sorry.
Thank you. You can see it takes a whole village to raise a kid, right? Thank you for being here. We had a wonderful tour for from Region 1. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Brad, and the rest of your committee. It was a great thing to see, and some difficulties that you have in Region 1. But we know those difficulties and challenges are unrealized opportunities, right? So thank you. We understand that you have a local area presentation. Brad, you're going to go first? Please.
Good morning. Thank you. Brett Slater, Region 1 Program Manager. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to give a small little presentation. I'll keep it somewhat short. Thank you for everyone for coming on the tour. I'm not sure, I didn't ever realize how long or windy Ogden Canyon was until we got on that bus. Then it was a lot more windy, and we started the tour just a little bit late. Commissioner Gardner, you had everything planned out perfectly, but on our drive back, we got to Wall and we watched her train drive away. So sorry about that. But she was awesome. Just happy and didn't say anything about that. So sorry to miss your train. But then today's train actually came in a little earlier than I thought it would. So that was awesome. I thought since we're here in Ogden and Weaver County, I just would highlight or focus on some of the major projects and things that are happening just right here in Weaver County. So over the last 10 years in Weaver County, we have either our program, we have in either design through construction, 169 projects for a programmed amount of just under $815 million. That's in the last 10 years. A lot of a good portion of that is just recent. Some of these major projects that we have going on, but that's a lot of work right here in Weaver County or in the last 10 years. So I thought, oh, I guess I thought you guys were playing. I'll play. Perfect. I'm in control. Okay. So I thought I'm just going to highlight about six projects. The first one, this does not touch Weaver County, come this far north, but it has a major impact on the folks that live here and that commute to Salt Lake every day. So we're in the middle of a major environmental study. It's in EIS on I-15. The study should be wrapping up in 2024 with a record of decision, and then with construction, or the next few phases beginning after that. But we are excited for that project, and it's going to make a major difference. There's a good portion of that freeway that is original concrete from when it was first laid, so that will make a big difference up here. The next major project, and we have talked about this a couple of times, we actually have come back to the commission and for some help on this project, is the 5600 South widening project. We have been working with the base, with MITA. We have great partnerships with them and with Riverdale in putting a new interchange. They're in the process of relocating their base back further into Hill, which should allow or should help with the congestion there on the base. This has some pretty neat features that are being built along with the new interchange. A flyover, some things that will actually just help with the freeway operations. This project also will widen SR 97 or 5500 South all the way out to SR 108 or 3500 West out in Roy. This will make a major difference in this area. It's this little stretch from 108 to the freeway. It's about a 12-minute drive just to get to the freeway, and it's not that long. It's just extremely compacted every day. This will greatly improve this area. This is outside of Weaver County, just about a mile outside, but this is the 1800 North interchange. This project, in conjunction with 5600, will make a huge difference for the residents actually in Davis and Weaver County. This project actually touches 5600. Both of them are making freeway improvements. So after these two projects get completed, I-15 will have been rebuilt from 1800 North up into Riverdale, which will which is a really big help, especially if you have driven on that concrete there. This project is also a new interchange. This project will take the freeway. So back when the freeway was built, we put the freeway right next to 1900 West or SR 126. And for the next 30 years, it worked fabulously. But as congestion has grown, having that proximity, that 126 Surface Street, so close to the freeway does not allow for the proper movements or for people to get in the right lane there on at 56 or 1800. So what we're going to do is we are actually moving the freeway a little bit to the east. You can see that in that drawing, which provides us that spacing that we need. But this is rebuilding the freeway through this section. It's a pretty big project. This project, currently there's 2 projects on the board. Right now, this is programmed at 90 million. We will be coming back to the commission here in near future to talk about this project. The sister to this one is the widening of SR 37. This will widen the freeway from that new interchange out to SR 108. And we have been doing a lot of work on SR 108. Right now, we currently have a project on 108 to widen SR 108 from 300 North up to 1800 North. We had the opportunity to actually drive through this location yesterday on the tour. This is the 24th Street project. This will build a new full interchange at 24th Street. Currently, it's a half interchange. We have been working and studying and looking at this area for a number of years. We had to go back to the drawing board a few years ago. We are now completing a brand new EA, which will allow us to build this new interchange just south of the current half interchange where the current location is. This will improve folks that are trying to get on the freeway from Ogden, West Haven, and the businesses. If you are wanting to go north and you are working in the business district, the only way to get on the freeway is you actually have to drive out to SR 126. And you have to drive down it, and then you have to come back and make a big loop. If there's emergency services, the same situation. If there's a train ever in that area, you can actually completely block off access to a lot of the residents and the businesses in the area. So this will help with that.
And with that new location, you don't have to deal with the railroads, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Thank you.
We're in full control of our destiny.
That's beautiful.
We also have the opportunity to drive through this project. This is an environmental study on I-84-89. Mike presented this to them, did an excellent job. They've been studying this and looking at different alternatives at this location. This will ties into the work that he has done on 89, and this will greatly improve the interchange here at 84-89, and it'll make some improvements all the way up to Harrison Boulevard on 89. Currently, it is programmed at 60 million. When they finish their study and they have put their engineers' estimates together, we will be coming back and talking about this project in the near future also. Okay, those are the major projects. I thought I'd keep this short and just focus on the big things we are working on. Okay. Thank you.
Any
Is there
question?
any question?
May I just say, with the completion of I-84, I've had so many compliments from UDOT about that. Just huge differences making. And congratulations again, that the ribbon cutting, the balloon cutting was excellent. And thanks for all you're doing. It's exciting to see that growth and development taking place in a wise way.
Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Thank you. With 169 projects, 815 million in investment, I hope that leaders of the county, cities in Weber County can go forward and say to the constituents, look what we've done. Look what the UDOT has done. And at the end, if there's anything left, what UDOT Commission has done. So thank you. Thank you for being such a wonderful partners. Okay, we have a public comments at the stage. We're gonna have Mitch Shaw come forward and read the email. And of course, we will ask also the public to see if they have any.
Good morning, Commissioners.
morning.
As was said, my name is Mitch Shaw. I'm the Communications Manager for Region 1. And like Mayor Caldwell, I feel a little weird being at this dais too, because I was here for about 10 years every Tuesday night covering Ogden City for the Standard Examiner. I always wondered what it would be like to come up here and talk. So I guess I'm about to find out. So here's the letter we received. Dear Utah Transportation Commission, my name is Ken Naylor, and I'm the water/ditch master on the Palmer Weir of the South Jordan Canal in Salt Lake County. The water users on this water conveyance slash irrigation ditch have appointed me as their representatives. Our ditch runs along the south side of 9,000 South from about 1850 West to 1300 West, where it crosses from the southwest corner of 1300 West and 9,000 South to the northeast corner. From there, it splits and runs either east along the north side of 9,000 South to about 1030 West and then north or north along 1300 West. UDOT is currently widening 9,000 South, and our ditch is involved in this widening for most of its length along 9,000 South. UDOT and the Palmer Weir Water Users Association currently do not have an agreement on the relocation of the ditch for the widening project. UDOT is classifying our ditch that is used for agriculture water as a utility. I have included a couple of pictures, I think they will be on some slides we have, for our ditch in areas that have not been affected by development. This does not look like a utility to me or anyone else on our ditch. It looks like a water conveyance for agricultural water. Please tell UDOT officials working on the 90th South project that our ditch is not a utility. Most of what UDOT has proposed we would accept, but there are a few things that need to be looked at. I have a proposal that would take care of most of these things. One of the things that need to be looked at is the diversion box on the northwest corner of 13th and 90th. As proposed, this box would be considered a permit entry only confined space and could easily be deadly to any of my water users. At the meeting where the design of our ditch was shown to us, we were told that we have no say in any of the proposed designs and to sit down, shut up, and be happy with what you're getting. We were also lied to by a UDOT official at this meeting, and we have not been provided a copy of the design proposals. The difference in how UDOT has worked with us during this widening project compared to the last time 90th was widened is astonishing. Last time we told UDOT our requirements, and UDOT came back with a proposal that way exceeded what we required. This time it was sit down, shut up, and be happy with what you get. I have another meeting with UDOT in a couple of weeks, and any help from the Transportation Commission would be appreciated.
Thank you, Mitch. And we were supposed to also have online comments from Katie Blackhair. Katie, are you with us? Okay. Thank you. At this time, I would like to also recognize, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Andrew Gruber, I'm Executive Director of the Wasatch Front Regional Council. I also love being in Ogden with my friend and partner, Mike Caldwell, and Mara Brown, and the rest of the great team here from Ogden City. I also want to recognize that Morgan County Commissioner Blaine Fackrell is here. Good to be with the commissioner as well. I just want to note that next week at the Wasatch Front Regional Council meeting, we are on track to adopt the 2024-2029, all of the partners that are involved in this process. I want to note as well that we have done significant public engagement in the development of the TIP, and Wayne Bennion, whose team works on the TIP in such close collaboration with your great folks at Region 1 and Region 2, and even touching into Region 3, because we don't let boundaries stand between us, do we? We've done such intensive public engagement, received hundreds of comments from the public on projects all over the region. And you know this just as well as we do, that public engagement makes the projects better, makes our work stronger. We share the input with your team here at UDOT, and that makes the projects and our process more responsive to public engagement. So I just wanted to acknowledge that public engagement and the great partnership that we have, all of our teams working together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please.
I attended those meetings yesterday with the council for all afternoon. Andrew, do you ever not want to say something? No. A lot of people working there, and it was a great meeting.
You know me well.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to also recognize our UTA partners and trustees. Thank you. Carlton Christensen, Beth Holbrook, and Jeff Aitcherson. Thank you. Welcome. We'll have an opportunity to hear from them just a little later. Any other comments from the floor? Please introduce yourself and your position.
Hello, everybody. I met, or at least talked to most of you yesterday. I'm Davey Ratchford, the general manager of Snow Basin. I'm a Mountain Green resident. I'm an Irish immigrant. And I think I forgot my sports coat today, looking around. But I appreciate the commission, our partners at UDOT and friends at UDOT. And just wanted to say a couple of quick words, if I could, for the record. Over 80 plus years ago, Mayor Caldwell's predecessor declared Snow Basin, when they opened it, Ogden's winter playground. And I would say by 2023, that's become Utah's winter playground. It's become quite a popular place. We're proud of that. We're glad of the work that we've done. The mountain is amazing. We're very lucky to have what we have in this area. This county is blessed with so many amazing things, great leaders, great resorts. I wanted to just illustrate just one thing for you and make sure I say this. The Trappers Loop Road, which is amazing for us, that intersection towards Snow Basin that we've talked about yesterday, we did want to make sure that we just emphasize what we believe is a safety hazard on that road, being able to turn left heading north for the people going to Snow Basin, and also the people that are not going to Snow Basin. There are other amazing ski resorts up here that are trying to make their way over to Powder Mountain and Nordic that can't because of the way that road is formatted. Just wanted to make sure we bring that attention. It's something we definitely would love some support on. Snow Basin also supports DIS for the interchange in Mountain Green. As Mountain Green resident, that is something that we really looking forward to down the road. I know that's a ways away, but it is something that we believe with so much attention brought to Snow Basin, the possibility of an Olympics coming back to Snow Basin, and so many people heading north to ski our piece in the future. So I want to thank everybody for all their help, all their support. I'm going to go back up to the mountain and change out of these clothes. It feels uncomfortable for me like this, and I'm going to go dig a ditch or do something up there. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for the time.
Thank you for your time too. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I would like to recognize Ivan Morero, our partner from the Federal Highway. I think he's going to have a good news and all kinds of money. Fish in the barrel.
Got a couple of bucks for you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners.
morning.
I'm Ivan Morero. I'm the Division Administrator for the Federal Highway Administration Office here in Utah. Thank you again for giving me a couple of minutes to bring you up on some of the interesting issues from the federal side. I do want to thank Rob White and his group for the excellent tour yesterday of Ogden and Weber County. It's great to see the amazing places you got here and the complicated transportation issues you're trying to resolve. So thank you for the tour. Utah was successful in getting a couple of grants this last round. So I wanted to point these out to you. The one was the RACE grant back in June 28th. They received $24 million for the first and last mile connections project. And this will basically build active transportation infrastructure for 10 light rail stops and approximately 13 bus stops in the Wasatch Front metropolitan area. So a very good grant, and will provide great benefits to the area. Another RACE grant that was awarded was to the Spring City Corporation in Sanpete County, and they will get this planning grant in the amount of $750,000 to study and do environmental analysis of and actually some design of approximately 47 miles of multi-use trail in Sanpete County. So that it's going to be put to real good use in that area. So congratulations to Spring City for that. This grant is under our nationally significant federal lands in tribal transportation projects program, and it went to Tooele County. It's going to be used for the Ibapa Road Safety and Rehabilitation Project. This is a very much needed project for the Confederate tribes of the Gashute. It provides them access to hospitals and other facilities that and schools that they need to get to. So it will. I think currently it's just a gravel road out there. So I think that this money will be put to improving the safety and the condition of that facility. It's one of I think they've received a couple of other grants already. So there's money being collected to eventually put this project together. It was one of just 7 other recipients nationwide. So congratulations to them for that. And I do want to point out that the next round of these grants is out there, and the deadline is November 6th. So anybody who wants to put in for that, the opportunity is out there, and they can click on these links to get more information on how to apply. We've another set of grants that is out there right now is this multimodal project discretionary grant. We've combined three grants into one into this announcement, and we have our mega, our infra, and our rural program grants. The mega grants are the larger ones, $500 million or above project. 50% of the grants have to be spent on projects greater than 500 million. So it's for these more larger, complex projects. The infra grant is small scale projects. They're in the $25 million range, and then the rural grants are specific for projects located in rural communities. So again, those are out. The deadline for application is Monday. So I just wanted to bring everybody that the attention. But there is a link there on how to apply, and if there are any questions. There's another one. This one is the Advanced Digital Construction Management Systems, or ADCMS grant. This is a grant intended to advance the use of digital methods for the design and construction of transportation facilities. So like 3D design and modeling, those kind of things that we can use on the construction. So so the deadline for that one is August 28th. And I always provide this, just a link to all these grants. Anybody has any question or wants to find out more about these grants, they can go to the DOT Navigator and get all that information they need. And speaking of getting information for grants, Brigitte Mandel, my deputy division administrator, she's been leading this effort. She's been organizing this workshop to bring here to our state to educate people on all these grants. There's so many discretionary grants out there. So it's scheduled for September 19th and 20th here in Salt Lake City in person. So anybody interested can register the link. But again, we're going to explain what the different funds are, discretionary grants are, how to go about applying for them, which can be a very complicated process. And we'll have people from other locations that have been successful in gathering in getting those grants, presenting there so we can learn more about so that the participants can learn and be better prepared to apply for this grant. So again, we got it scheduled for September 15th, and there's for September 19th and 20th, but September 15th is when we want people to register by, and the link is right there. So and that's all I have for you this morning. Be glad to answer any questions you may have for me.
Any questions from Ivan? Good job as usual. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Brigitte, thank you for doing that workshop. I've already got several people told me about your email, and they're excited. Thank you. Now we have item number 5, UDOT scoreboard, Cameron, Mr. Carmen, and also Troy Peterson.
Yep, problem. Yep, perfect.
Got to bring that down a little bit. Good morning, Commissioners. Carmen Swanwick. I'm the Project Development Director. And I'm just going to give you an update on project development and our project delivery at this point. So going into this project delivery, you can see how we're tracking the projects for this year. We have 5 past due, and I'll talk a little bit about that. 50 are going to advertise within the next 60 days. And you can see we have like almost, 260 coming as well. Getting down into the performance aspect of it, and again, current fiscal year. So this is only through July, to keep that in mind. So we're doing well on our schedule, 14 projects, and just over $420 million. And I'm sure that looks a little odd for that to be within 1 month. So I'll come down here and show you the detail of that. You can see why we advertised, and Brett Slater talked about it a little bit. This is our 5600 South Progressive Design Build project, and that was $360 million. So that plays a big part in the advertising we did in this last month. So moving down into advertising status, you can see here, the red marks those past due that we talked about. And again, a lot of those challenges we're having are with third parties, some with right-of-way, some with the Navajo Nation, and some utilities coming into agreements. So we're working through those challenges now. What I do wanted to show a little bit here is move this dial. You can also see what our program's going to look like. All of these projects here are in future and scoping. So we do have a very robust program in our future. Okay, get down to here. Moving down into the project counts and construction contracts. Right now we have 192 active construction projects happening. As you can see here, you can hover over these. We've paid out $1.3 billion with almost $1 million remaining, which is pretty standard for our construction projects at this time of year. Also going down into the contractor payment, you can see the amount that we have let out. And again, July is a very big month for us. August isn't complete yet, which is why that looks low. But you can just see how construction season fluctuates through the year for us when you look at the trends on this graph. Moving into the contractor's award and engineer's estimate amount. We are tracking fairly well. We're seeing some recovery in our estimates. So we are tracking well at this point in time. And that's what I have for our project development update today. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions from Carmen? Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Unfortunately, I'm not Troy Peterson. We'll have to make do. I'm Robert Miles, the Director of Traffic and Safety, but I am happy to be here this morning. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our fatalities and serious injury performance measures, how we're doing as a state. Year to date, well, before I say year to date, as of the end of June, we were running a fatality rate of 0.78 fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. So we've come back down a little bit. We still haven't hit where we want to be, which is 0. But we are seeing encouraging signs in there. As of this morning, we had 171 fatalities on our highway system, on our state roadway system. Roadway systems within the state of Utah. Let me be clear on that, all public roadways. That is no longer visible on that graph. So we'll just go from some memory then. 171 is where we're at. right now. We've seen improvements in pedestrian fatalities, slightly lower than we were last year. No, actually, fairly lower than we were last year, slightly lower than our 5-year average of pedestrian fatalities in year to date as of the end of July. Bikes, we are sitting at cyclists riding bicycles. We're sitting at our 5-year average. Rather than just be relative to that, let me throw out some actual numbers for you. As of the end of July, we had 20 pedestrian fatalities within the state of Utah. Our 5-year average is 22. As of the end of July, we had 5 cyclist fatalities within the state of Utah. Our 5-year average is 5. In 2022, we had 11 at that point. So we've come off that terrible year last year and a little bit more to normal. We're still working on making improvements. We haven't let up our efforts and ways to improve our system or try to be more innovative in how we accommodate all users on our roadway system. So there's some general facts for you. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Question? Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. Thank you for your time.
Now it is our privilege to hear from our UTA partners to talk about the annual report.
Thank you, and I am pleased to say that we arrived here on transit, and I think with the project that we're working cooperatively with UDOT on, that frequency will increase, and the availability of timeframes will follow suit. But we're grateful to our partnership with the DEQ and the Clean Air Days that yesterday and today.
Mr. Chairman, would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Carlton Christensen. I'm Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Utah Transit Authority, and I'm have with me today my colleagues Beth Holbrook and Jeff Acerson, who will also be presenting today. What you just received from my colleagues is our recently completed 2030 strategic plan for the Utah Transit Authority. We have 5 pillars that we're focusing our strategic plan around, and by design, the initial plan was intended to be small, but not only that our stakeholders could read it quickly, but also our employees. We have an employee workbook where they contribute and set their own personal goals about how they achieve our strategic plan. In that strategic plan, we talk about being within a half mile of 70% of the state's population by 2030. And some may ask, well, you don't serve the state, but when you look at our service area, 80% of the state's population is within our service area. And so our partnership with you and with others will help us get there. The strategic double tracking and eventually the extension of commuter rail will certainly be a piece of that. The other piece that there are a number of baseline measurements that we're doing this year, and there's a much deeper level of goal setting taking place within the organization. But another is the economic impact of transit. Often it's just looked at from how many people we move, but when you look at the economic side benefits of that, it's substantial. And while we have those numbers nationally, we don't really have those numbers locally. And so we piggybacked on the effort being done by the Unified Transportation Plan and extended the economic study of that. And we'll hope to have that by the end of this year. Okay. We have a short video here that want to play and some key people here talking about transit that we think you may recognize.
Everything UTA does is driven by one simple idea. We move you. And where is UTA moving you? Let's hear from those who know best.
UTA is moving more people to more places than ever. So Utah's future has less traffic and cleaner air. UTA is an amazing resource for the people of Utah. It's a safe and easy way to get to a jazz game with friends and family.
UTA gives people greater access to jobs, education, healthcare, and entertainment. More public transit means more opportunity, and that's something to celebrate. UTA drives more than buses and trains. It drives Utah's economy. It's estimated that every dollar invested in transit generates $5 in economic returns.
UTA employees love what they do, and we're working to make sure they have the trust and tools they need to make riding UTA faster, easier, and more enjoyable for everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Visit rideuta.com to learn more about where UTA will move you.
Which I went back one too far. A couple things that just would point out. This is our 5-year capital plan, and I won't go into a great level of detail, but suffice it to say that a sizable chunk of our capital plan has to do with the state of good repair of our system. One of the challenges for transit agencies nationally is that their systems are slowly falling apart, some quicker than others, and the reinvestment in that system is lacking. So as we look at our 5-year infrastructure plan, there is a lot going toward the state of good repair. There are some new projects in the mix. However, we're limited in that ability, and so that's the partnership that we have with the state of Utah, certainly the federal government, and as well as our local dollars to extend service that we know we need for our growing state. And so we appreciate our partnership with UDOT in that regard. Let me just touch base on some quick projects that do have some state funding in them and that we are working under the oversight of and cooperation with UDOT on, but we've taken the lead on these particular projects on the construction side. The first one is the Mid-Valley Connector. It's a bus rapid transit system that connects our Murray Central Station ultimately into our West Valley Fairborn Station. It does go past UDOT headquarters offices, as well as some of the new state offices that are going in there. That is on track. It's been recommended by the president for funding, and we're hopeful, depending on where all the federal dollars fall out, that we'll be able to commence project on that. That it will be an all-electric bus system. This just gives you the timeline. We're hopeful and feel like we're on track to begin construction in January 2024, thanks to state funding and as well as local funding and a commitment by UTA. We anticipate being able to begin that construction. The extension of the S line, which is in the Sugar House, it's a streetcar line, and many might ask why it ended where it did, and that's simply because that's where the right-of-way ended. If you look at the development of Sugar House, and billions have really followed the construction of this line, it should have at bare minimum have gone to Highland Drive, and this project allows us to move forward with that. The legislature appropriated some money a couple sessions ago. We're beginning the design process. We're working with Salt Lake City to close the gap, doing some analysis about whether or not we can keep our current headways with our existing rolling stock. We anticipate construction beginning in the summer of 2024 with revenue operations in 2025.
Carlton,
Yeah,
on that
please.
one, in the long-range plan, does it eventually turn north towards the university?
So in the current alignment or locally preferred alternative, it does go south on Highland Drive, eventually to connect to Westminster College. Having been on the city council at the time, I can attest that it was a very controversial alignment, and the mayor that followed shortly after actually killed the extension at the time. And I think it's one of the reasons why we're not really going beyond Highland Drive at this point, because there is lack of clarity about where that direction should go. But when you look at the Huntsman and University Healthcare that's to the east of Highland and some other needs there, it should continue on beyond Highland at some point, but we're doing it in cooperation with the city and their reconstruction of Highland Drive. I hope that answered your question, Natalie.
Yeah, I just, I cycle a bit on the bike trail along this line, and it doesn't have the ridership that it needs, in my judgment, and it has to connect to more things.
Yeah, no. Although that, I will say this, the ridership on this has actually doubled over the last few years, and it's continued to go up. But
Yeah, the amount of capital investment along the line is really unbelievable.
yeah, I would agree. And then finally, and this is our West Side Express project. This is along 5600 West. As you, I'm sure, are well familiar, in order to go on to the next phase of the Mountain View corridor, this particular service needs to be in operation, and we're working very closely with UDOT. You've been very instrumental in securing transfer points along that route. We're looking to see if there's maybe some more economical ways to implement this route, but there's certainly a number of funds that have been identified, and we're very optimistic of being able to move forward with this particular alignment. We know this is really one of the, I would say the first, if you're from the West Side, when I was on the city council, they say, well, I've been to the West Side, and their definition of that was the airport. And I'm like, there's a lot more beyond that. And if you're really from the West Side of Salt Lake County, 56 West is really more the halfway point, as you know, from your own system. But this is really the first major north-south alignment on the West Side, and I think this will serve that well, and it models very well. We're hopeful that revenue operations would begin in 2026, with construction commencing in 2025. With that, I'll turn my time over to my colleague, Jeff Acerson, who will talk about our success with our workforce strategy. Jeff.
The right arrow. Well, we got here on transit, as Carlton said, and that's always, for us, that's a must. So we appreciate your support and of the Utah Transit Authority. One of the challenges with capital projects and maintaining the system is having the people power to actually function and operate the system and maintain it. We've had some challenges with that of late, but we're finally starting to see the tide change a little bit. With this slide here, it shows that we've actually crossed the employees that we're losing to where we're actually growing, bringing more people in than we're losing. So, and part of that is just they're retiring. There are many dedicated people in our system that have been here forever. Some of them we've actually brought back to try to get that gap that we've been short on operators. So that's been very helpful. Something that's helped, which you're probably aware of, with as tight as the market is, there's been some wage demands. And we went through a collective bargaining agreement as of late, and we've been able to get through that process in a good way, both for the agency and also for those that are employed by the agency, with improvement of pay and schedules, amenities, working conditions. That was all addressed in this latest collective bargaining agreement. So when we have the staff and the operators to provide a system, it gives us more flexibility to enhance the system and provide other options. And part of that service vision that we have, it's a collaborative process, strategic planning, making sure that we're implementing added service in areas where we'll have ridership. The service planning part of that, and operations planning to make sure that we have what's needed to maintain that system, and then the actual implementation of that. In fact, on Sunday, we're going to have a change day, and we're going to institute some of those changes. And I'm sure, as anyone knows, when you change something, there are a few growing pains that occur, and we're ready to deal with that and adjust as needed. So I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Beth. She'll take it. Finish it. Yes.
Thank you. How many employees do you have roughly at UTA? Ballpark?
2,700. Yeah. Yeah. If you have operators that you'd like to send our way.
Now you know why we bring Jess here too. He's always listening. It's great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Holbrook. I'm trustee who represents Davis, Weaver, and Box Elder counties. And so I'm very excited to be here in Ogden this morning. Mayor Caldwell in the back. He and I became best buds because this is such an awesome, awesome city. And you can see, if you look at the previous slide, which I'm like, now I'm going to see if I can do this. This is actually a snapshot of Ogden in this service vision, and it talks about the Ogden Valley and some of the strategic things we want to do in conjunction with the OGX, which of course we're going to take a tour of later today. And this is what we want to continue to see and continue to drive as we look at future growth. So if we're going to talk about that, we also want to talk about ridership. And as you can see from this data, our ridership has improved. And it is continuing to improve. Our best months are always September. The schools are really a significant driver. We have a lot of education passes. We work with all of the major universities to get there. And we anticipate that this trend is going to continue to go up. I wanted to talk about ski service. That is something that is also coming up as well, especially given our incredible ski season last year or earlier this year, depending on when you went skiing. And it is amazing considering all of the challenges that we had with driver shortages, et cetera, and dealing with record snowfall. As you guys know, your snowplow drivers were clearing those pathways for us. And so even though we had those challenges, we only had a 14% ridership reduction total. We had increased bus sizes, so that obviously helped with some of the transportation needs as well. What we have done this year is we started meeting with the ski resorts after ski season ended and really tried to figure out strategies that we can do to improve service to our riders and also help those connections up to the ski resorts. We intend to work in a ridership capacity for those employees who need to get to the resort prior to maybe some of those skiers that are coming up each day. And again, I started off, I was so excited that I forgot to say this is Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons, just so that we are aware. We also have a surge service plan, which obviously if there's going to be there's some powder days, I'm thinking, and there could be an opportunity there that we need to provide extra service. This is an ongoing discussion, and as you've seen from past slides, we've had an opportunity to really get more operators starting in this field, which is a great opportunity, but we want our more seasoned operators obviously in this area. And so we are working with the goal of the 2024-2025 season to be in a place where we are fully staffed and able to meet those demands. And now I'm going to talk about OGX, which is again what we're going to tour this in just a little while. This is a federal partnership with a lot of local investment. And if you'll talk to the mayor, you talk to Andrew, this all started in the early 2000s and it's gone through several iterations. And when we actually started having these dialogues, the whole discussion with Weber State and everything else was let's go electric. And so that's what we did. We have 11 all-electric buses. We have 1.5 miles of dedicated lanes on Harrison Boulevard. Thank you to UDOT. That really is a significant value to us. In addition to that, we have transit signal prioritization, which is also allowing our buses to navigate through more efficiently. There are 13 BRT stations, and as you're going to see, they all have very unique art. And so this is all driven by the locals. This is all Mayor Caldwell and his team and local providers giving this art to these stations as well. 19 signal priority lights, again, that's key. And a 10 to 15 minute service on weekdays and 0 fare for 3 years. One of the things that we did is we opened half of this last year. We just opened up the shuttle piece for Weber State University. And that opened up to tremendous success. And this is where we think we're going to continue to develop ridership because we get those new college students going in and they're doing riders, they're doing transit every day. And that's the key thing that we want to see as well. In addition to that, I'm just going to give you this really cute map because I'm going to close this out with talking about some of the other things. I just love this because this is really highlighting Ogden and all of the work that has gone into not just Ogden, but certainly the entire area in Weber County. And we could not do this without the partnerships that we have developed. And one of the other things that really impacts us is how can we help to address housing and do station area planning and transit-oriented communities and looking at all of these things. And as we develop these sites, we get more and more people talking in those same areas. And so with that, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this morning, everyone, and we'll take any questions that you might have.
Oh, you have
that
it.
up
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to say how exciting it is to hear this because most people think I work for UTA and for Carlton. Of course, so it's great to have a partnership that works, and this is exciting. One question. Do you have trouble getting right away? I mean, that's an issue that Diane and others of us in the
Yeah,
quarter.
right away is always a challenge. And to be honest, getting future right away is a real challenge. Obviously, once we've developed this, a locally preferred alternative, and we work often closely with your folks in some of that land acquisition, particularly if condemnation is in order. But, and generally it's not, but it's really more of just pre-project type of acquisition. We have been working on right-of-way acquisition up to Box Elder County for Front Runner, but there's a gap between Ogden and Box Elder County that hasn't been acquired yet. Some of it is just recently been acquired, but there's still need there. But beyond the commuter route rail line, there's only really one place, even in Salt Lake County, that, and it's out in the southwest where they've preserved corridors. So
Yeah.
we run on your road a lot, and so figuring out how we can partner with those, especially on new projects, would be exceptionally helpful.
Thank you. We talked about the snowplow issue even in the road. Yes.
Yeah, Carlton, anything we can do to strengthen the collaborative experience between UDOT and UTA?
Well, I would say, considering where we got placed about a year and a half ago, and we always worked closely with UDOT, I would say our teams are working very closely and relying on each other's strengths and skills. And I think one of the things that we hoped, and we're looking forward to lunch today, is a strong dialogue with you as a commission. You determine a lot of how the state directs their funding. And I think long-term, one of the things that would be very helpful is to figure out a large size capital investment on the state in transit. The hard difficulty is if you go from a year-to-year type of a circumstance, you can't plan and program large projects out very effectively. And so figuring out how there's a way to do that more systematically, because historically we've been very dependent based on our current revenue streams on discretionary federal grants. And then when you look at what the legislature did with the county of the first class funds that came out of the potential of a fifth transit tax, that's going to be determined in Salt Lake County by the legislature, and that's 60% of our revenue. And so having you as a partner there and helping us to make the case for certain projects is going to be really important.
Very good to know. I would just make the observation that the mayor's comment this morning when he said something to the effect that, the trees we plant, provide shade later on. As our region grows, the reliance on the transit system will grow exponentially.
Yeah.
And, you have to lay that foundation now. And I just, I think we'll miss it if we don't absolutely invest more.
Often our debt has been a point of criticism, but when you, and by the way, we are actually improved our credit rating, and we're well credit for a revenue stream organization. We have probably about as high as a credit rating that you would get nationally. But when you look at the debt that we incurred, we effectively, meaning collectively UTA and stakeholders, built the 2030 system back in about 2013. And any of our colleagues who have come to UTA, the Salt Lake metro area, can't believe the extensiveness of our system, both based on our revenue stream and the size of our community. to your point, Natalie, that was a major investment and decision as a locally elected official at the time. We all wanted UTA to go forward. They did it in the heart of the Great Recession and got incredible construction costs. And we're at a point where we have to have that kind of shared vision to really meet the needs that we're going to need.
Yeah, just one final commentary. The history would be that the Great Recession hadn't started yet, and this state decided during a time of surplus, the legislature gave local government permission to raise the sales tax increment for transit during a time of surplus, and they did it during a special session. So you just think about how forward thinking that is. You have a surplus, but you're going to raise taxes in this state? Yeah. But we did it because of the opportunity to strike and get this federal funding and put this in place, and then built it during the downturn when things were cheaper. Yeah. So, you know, this is a really incredible public finance story for our state.
Well, and the work that's anticipated and hoped for in the strategic double tracking, there's a sizable potential federal investment, and the state's willingness to step up on the front end of that has been really helpful.
So, Donna?
Thank you for this presentation. I love everything that I live in a rural part, and we have a transit system of sorts, but certainly not what we have here. But as I reviewed the capital expenditure, 5-year capital expenditure plan, I realized that I didn't really have much of an understanding of your revenue sources. Could you just share that with me very quickly?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a slide, but by far, most of our revenue source is derived from sales tax. About 10% comes from fare revenue. And I believe we get about, my colleagues can kick me, but about $60 to $70 million in federal formula funds. Yeah. And those go to state of good repair of systems that are 7 years and older that we get through federal funds. But if you took the federal funds out of the mix, we're almost solely dependent on sales tax. And that's one reason why our system actually, both financially and from ridership, has done better than a lot of legacy systems like in San Francisco or New York. Or we're heavily fare-based, and coming out of the recession, they're in in fact, this year, many of them are looking at a pretty dismal conclusion to their service, probably.
Working for a state institution, I also really, I really value how you included Weber State as a partner, and how we're teaching those young people to have this be their way of getting around instead of always doing it in a car all by themselves.
You know, our average rider is 34 years of age. We just entered into a pass program last year with the Salt Lake City School District, where they extended passes to every one of their students and faculty. And this year, the Salt Lake City Council is extending that pass to one parent or guardian of those students. But that opened up a world of participation for those students who often couldn't stick around for after-school events and those kind of things. But that one district alone generated 450,000 rides. And so when you look, I would love to think that I was UTA's ideal customer. I'm probably not, because I'm comfortable in my car and I've done certain things. But when you look at that generation, they're the ones that you can't get them to get a driver's license till they're 18, and they're frankly can't afford a $50,000 car or $40,000 car, and for the most part, they're not looking at home ownership, and so transit is definitely part of their vocabulary.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else? Well, I will compliment you, Mr. Chairman, and your UTA system. You've done a fantastic job to connect in the communities and improve on our ridership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is consent agenda, and Bob Pelly is on his way to present it.
Good morning. Good morning. Chair, Commissioners. We got a couple items to talk about today, and items 7 and 8 that I'll be presenting. First off is the consent agenda. Before you is included in this consent agenda packet are minutes from the June 2022 staff update meeting and June 2022 area road tour and the June 23rd Transportation Commission meeting. And a list of projects included in the exhibit have either been awarded, identified, budget amounts that can be removed, or are in closeout process that have funding available to remove and be reprogrammed. So as I move through here, first off, we'll come up on the staff update meeting item. Next is the area tour that was taken in the Price area.
And again, thank you, Heather, for this such a detailed and wonderful minutes you take.
And the minutes of our commission meeting in Price.
Yes.
Number of items covered. And then here's the list of projects that are returning funds that will be reprogrammed. We have 2 budget recoveries and 1 project closeout, totaling $10.6 million. For requests today, back to the top.
I'm starting to feel like I did on the bus yesterday.
Close your eyes. We'll get back to the top here. So our request today is a motion to approve the consent agenda and items as presented.
I move to approve.
There's a motion to approve, yes?
I will second it.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you got it. A steady hand. All right. Next, we'll go into agenda item number 8. This is the programming items. The first one in front of you is item 8A-0. This is I-15 SR-97 widening from 5600 South, a funding addition and scope change. Scope of this project is to reconfigure and reconstruct the 5600 South interchange, reconstruct a portion of I-15 and widen 5600 South from I-15 to SR-108. The current project estimate was completed in 2019 and was based on a preliminary design in the EA, environmental assessment. The work also required a realignment of Davis and a Weber Canal. The proposed funding request breakdown is as follows. Construction inflation of 6.1% for 78 million. Right-of-way inflation of 25 million, additional material quantities 30 million, and the DWCC canal $7 million. So the request is to add $140 million to the I-15 SR-97 widening of 5600 South project. This is the location of this project. So today, the motion is to add funding and scope to the I-15 SR-97 5600 South widening of 5600 South project as detailed.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So Mike, we've become very accustomed, sadly, to the fact that we have lots of additional costs as we're moving forward on these projects. Can I just be reminded and maybe remind our vast amount of listeners where these, we don't print money, so where do these monies come from? And is it just managing cash flow in our project? So I just would like to be reminded as we look at nearly a, 50% increase on this cost.
We borrow from UTA.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
if I could?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Commissioner. Just as a reminder, the commission did vote to approve this in your June meeting, but in review of the video and the audio, you voted to approve it, but nobody made a motion.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there was no
that's right.
second. But so this is something you've gone through before, but I will ask Ben to talk a little bit about kind of where he finds the money, because this is all about balancing cash flow for, we have what, $5 billion of projects just in the TIF side of things.
Yeah, in brief, we manage the TIF program via cash flow. So it's a multi-year program. We work with the regions and Lisa and our comptroller and Ivan Hartle to identify potential needs as they come up. And we have I'll call it a system of placeholder to try to figure out how it fits within the cash flow. Over the past couple of years, we've came to the commission to talk about adjusting timeframes on certain projects, either moving them out in certain instances, and then like fairly recently when there was some additional one-time money added to the program, we were able to bring those back forward. So it's a system of cash flow timing. Shara with our comptroller's office help us on the revenue side if there's any revenue adjustments. But that's where that money comes from. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. I was certain that was the case, but I had a long week and so do we need to recreate a motion?
That is yes.
May I make that motion?
You may. There's a motion and a second for the record. Any other questions, comments? Again, this was a leftover from the last meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-0 is approved.
Thank you.
Again.
Next item is agenda item 8A-1. This is Garden City Truck Descent Improvements. It's a new project. In 2022, a runaway truck ramp was installed on US 89 in Garden City. Construction of a secondary mandatory brake check in Logan Canyon has begun. The project team has identified the need to expand the shoulders leading into the runaway truck ramp. This will provide additional room for trucks to get out of traffic and line themselves up with the runaway truck ramp. So the request is for $850,000 of the region's transportation solutions funds. Here's a map of the area above Garden City where this project is. Request today is a motion to add the Garden City Truck Descent Improvement Project to the current STIP as detailed.
I'd like to make that motion and I would like to thank UDOT for reacting quickly to the situation and recognizing a need. And this is a great example of UDOT's responsiveness and want to express thanks, especially from the citizens of Rich County. Thank you.
I'd
And all
like
of
to-
the people who travel to Rich County.
I'd like to second that with a comment.
Please.
Today, as I came in, I remember when I was 16 years old, my dad sent me with a 2-ton truck to the North Salt Lake Stockyards. And he said, now what you do is when you get to the top of Harley's, you go to second gear and you stay there until you get down to the reservoir. A lot of people's gonna pass you, but he says you won't lose your brakes.
Yeah.
And so I suggest people learn to use their gears and lockdown would help. So
Wise counsel. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-1 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item, agenda item 8A-2 this is SR 108, 300 North to 1800 North, a funding addition for $8 million of TIF funds. The scope of the SR 108, 300 North to 1800 North is to reconstruct and widen SR 108 to 5 lanes. The project was advertised in June of 2023. The department received 3 bids, with the apparent low bidder coming in at 116% of the engineer's estimate. The project team has reviewed the bids and determined it is unlikely re-advertising would result in lower bids. There were 325 bid items on the project. Below is a small list of bid items that had major bid differences from the engineer's estimate and the apparent low bidder. That's in traffic control, survey, granular borrow, untreated base course, removal of pipe, removal of asphalt pavement, borrow soft spot removal, concrete sidewalk. So Region Wood has recommended adding funds to the project in order to award the project to the apparent low bidder. The map of the area the project's in. It's a 5-lane section, typical. Or the motion today is to add funds to the SR 108, 300 North to 1800 North project as detailed.
Question?
Can I ask a question? now?
Please.
It's hard not to be struck by the difference between the engineer's estimate and the
Actual
bidder,
cost,
the actual bid. Is that too part of a rural location?
I'm gonna.
Rob is right behind you.
I mean, like traffic control at 70, 75, and yet they've, that's like, I'm not good at math today, but that's a whole bunch more.
Yes, it is a whole bunch
Percentage
more.
wise than.
And Rob White, Region 1 Director, yes, that one was one that struck me as something, did we miss something in the plans? And that's a good question. I haven't been able to thoroughly review the bid yet, but that was a big concern that there was that much in traffic control, and I believe we did miss something there. But that is a huge cost. One of the things we're trying to figure out in the last 6 months and actually several years is getting where the contractors are going to be with costs. Their costs, and I think contractors, and speaking with contractors, are having a hard time, from bid to bid, even being able to identify, what our costs are going to be when they have subcontractors, especially when they have materials that are maybe long lead items. These are all things that we're trying to figure out, and it's been a little rough in the last year or so to be able to pinpoint with our engineers' estimates. And so we've been doing a lot of work with it, but it is not a perfect science, and we're still working on it.
Thank you, Rob.
I make a motion to approve this. I know that there's so many things going on and so many, traffic control, I'm sure a lot of those things are coming over from overseas. It's the world we live in right now, and it'd be better to get it done now than later. And we've worked a lot on some of the corridor preservation on some of this property. It's needed. It's not probably going to get any cheaper, despite what presidential candidates may say. So anyway, I move that we approve it.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 8A-2 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-3. This is SR 204, 23rd Street to US 89, a funding addition. Request is to add 1.5 million from the high volume program. The scope of the SR 204, 23rd Street to US 89 project is to complete a pavement preservation treatment. The project estimate was originally developed in 2020 with an engineer's estimate of 3.6 million. A current engineer estimate reflecting today's bid prices show a project need of 5.1 million. Region 1 would like to use these funds in order to deliver the project as scoped. There's a map of project up by Harrisville. The motion is to add funds to the SR 204 2300 Street to US 89 project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make
Yeah.
that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-3 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, 8A-4. This is US 89 SR 193 to Weber River. It's a new project. Request is 5.4 million for this new project from the high volume program. The section of pavement on US 89 between SR 193 and the Weber River Bridge has begun to deteriorate quicker than the pavement life cycle anticipated. This project will remove and replace 1.5 inches of pavement. And here's the map of where this is going to be. Request today a motion to add the US 189 SR 193 to Weber River project to the current STIP as detailed.
Make that motion. I was just there and we need it.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any other comments? Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-4 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-5. This is US 89 SR 204 to SR 134. This is also a new project, 5.5 million from the high volume pavement program. The section of pavement on US 89 between SR 204 and SR 134 has begun to deteriorate quicker than the pavement life cycle anticipated. This project will remove and replace 1.5 inches of pavement. Here is a location map showing where the project is at. Today, the motion is to add the US 89 SR 204 to SR 134 project to the current STIP as detailed.
This is going to be kind of normal for all of us for the few years because we pray for the moisture and that's what happens.
Yeah. How many miles is this? Roughly ballpark, would you just, I mean, just, $5.5 million for an inch and a half.
Looks just above Harrisville, all the way up to above.
I believe it's
I'm
about
just
2.5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And these are projects, these new projects, last year, we had some efficiency from projects that we had finished and been below budget on. And so this is from that money that you released last year, we're putting it into pavement preservation.
Do we know the
I love
age?
that.
Do we know the age of what we're replacing?
The surface course on 89 in this area is about 7 or 8 years old. This is one of the areas we noticed is deteriorating more rapidly than would be expected. And I think a lot has to do with our moisture cycle that we had this last winter. And so we've noticed a lot of potholes. We've noticed it stripping a little bit. So this is, it should last longer than that. It should go 10 to 12 typically. But in this case, it only lasted about 8.
There's a high water table there too.
Yes, this area is a little lower.
I would move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
The motion and the second. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-5 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-6. This is a Mid-Valley Highway right-of-way. It's a new project, and it's coming from the Transportation Solutions program for $500,000. The scope of the Mid-Valley Highway right-of-way project is to purchase needed easement from the Tooele Army Depot. The time to work through this acquisition process could take up to 3 years. Here's a location of this. You can see where the project is anticipated to go through that parcel of the Tooele Depot. So the motion is to approve the Mid-Valley Highway right-of-way project to add to the current STIP as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion, and having, the visionary work that was done years ago about the Mid-Valley Highway and working on that dates me a bit, but that was a long time ago when the first discussions were held, and this is an important artery in a growing county.
Yes,
And
it
I
is.
compliment UDOT for moving forward on it. And you're right, the right of way will take some time in that community.
Thank you.
There was a motion. I'll second that motion.
Yeah, that was the motion.
Yes,
That was a motion to approve.
thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-6 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, 8A-7. This is a new project, SR 112 at 600 West Turn Lanes for 1.5 million of Region 2 Transportation Solutions funds. The scope of the SR 112 to 600 West project is to construct right turn lanes on SR 112 in the eastbound and westbound directions. Tooele City will widen the north and south legs of the intersection. This project will combine with another signal project, Penn 12 or 19802, which is constructing a new signal location at this location. Here's a map.
Yep.
So the motion is to approve the SR 112 at 600 West project and add to the current STIP as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and second. Questions, comments? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-7 is approved.
I'll make the comment that Tooele is booming these days.
Yes, indeed.
Any and all help is appreciated.
Thank you. Next item, 8A-8. This is a funding transfer, Orem 1600 North to 1210 West, the State Street project. So the environmental phase of the Orem 1600 North from 12100 West to the State Street project has been completed. The remaining funds on the project are proposed to be moved to the design and construction phase of this project. MAG approved this at their July 31st meeting. The project will require additional funds for construction to be added at a later date. And Region 3 will work to minimize that request during the design. Location of this project. The motion is to remove funding from the Orem 600 North to 12100 West to State Street Environmental Project and add it to the Orem 1600 North to 12100 West to State Street project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Oh, second.
Thank you also. And Rob is going to promise to us that he's going to do everything possible to minimize that, right?
Isn't that nice to actually see that in writing in the proposal? Like, that's to be commended.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-8 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-9. This is a funding addition to the SR 132 Canyon Hills Golf to Milepost 3705 shoulder widening project. $1,250,000 of Transportation Solutions Fund, as well as $238,000 of Local Government Betterment Funds. The SR 132 Canyon Hills Golf Course to Milepost 37.5 shoulder widening project is part of a corridor plan to improve the State Route 132 in Region 3 and 4. With this project, Region 3 will widen the shoulders of SR 132 from Canyon Hills Golf Course to Milepost 37105. During the design of this project, water lines were found to be impacted, resulting in a cost increase of $340,000. MSE walls were also discovered to be needed to reduce impact to the Salt Creek, resulting in a cost increase of $120,000. The project is ready to advertise, and the remaining additional funds are needed to cover inflation since the project was programmed. Nephi City is proposing a betterment of $238,335 for 2 water lines. Here is a location map of the project. Motion to add funding to the SR 132 Canyon Hills Golf to milepost 137 shoulder widening project as detailed.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would move for approval. We've been looking at this road. I think it's time to quit looking to get it going.
I'll second.
With that comment, yes. Any other questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-9 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-10. This is US 89 University Avenue to 500 West in Provo, a funding addition and scope change. So the request is to add 9.5 million to this project, 7.7 from the reconstruction program and 1.8 of local government betterment funds. The US 89 University Avenue to 500 West Provo project will reconstruct the concrete pavement from the University Avenue to 500 West, connecting 2 recently completed UDOT projects. The project was funded in October of 2017 with 8 million, and an additional 500,000 was added to the project in May of 2022 to cover the signal. The additional funds are needed to cover inflation since 2017 and unexpected impacts to utilities and right-of-way due to driveways and sidewalk reconstruction. Mount Atlanta Association of Government approved at their July 31st meeting. Location map of this project. And today's request, a motion to add funding to the US 89 University Avenue to 500 West Provo project as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it, but with the question, Mr. Chairman, what is the local government betterment fund? I'm sure I missed that earlier, but.
Yeah, the local government betterments, that's when they're adding items that are not bid items to the project that we're there doing the work. It's an opportunity for them to add the work while we're there.
They're putting the money in. It's not a fund that we have.
Yep, it's not, we don't control that.
No, they usually end up becoming bid items in the contract, but it's things that are not required for the project scope that the local governments would like to do in conjunction with the project.
While it's being done.
It's being done.
Go ahead.
Matt Parker, Region 3 Program Manager. In this case, there's quite a few water lines that are city water lines that are being impacted. And so they want to do those before we go and put new concrete on it. So we're just trying to do things that make sense, and things that they need for their infrastructure by reducing impacts, and adding it into our project.
Tear up the road one time. That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad we're working with the local governments to ensure that there's some coordination.
I don't think this totally relates, but I'll never forget, as a college student where I grew up, there was a street that the midline was the boundary between Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County. And Salt Lake City literally came and paved half of the street right down the middle.
Yeah.
They really did that. The asphalt was on one half of the road. Have you heard of that before?
That changed your life, didn't it?
Yeah. You'll never let that happen.
It's what put me into public policy.
Then we're glad it happened then, because we need Natalie in public policy.
Wow.
So we have a motion and a second on item number 10. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 8A-10 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Next item is 8A-11. This is to abandon a project. So this is Payson Main Street at 600 North Interchange. So that the scope of the Payson Main Street 600 North Interchange project was to add a fourth lane of interchange. During the design of the signal, it became apparent that purchasing commercial property to add the fourth leg of the interchange would be cost prohibitive. With the new information, Payson City and the Mountain Land Association of Governments have recommended that this project be abandoned and the funds be reprogrammed at this time. And this was approved at the Mountain Land Association of Governments at their July 31st meeting. This is the location. So the request is a motion to approve abandoning the Payson Main Street 600 North Interchange project and removing it from the current STIP as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any other questions? So this is abandoned for good, Rob, or it can be reprogrammed later on? No?
Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. Yeah, these were MAG funds that they had added to our signal project to build a fourth leg that they decided not to pursue. So it wouldn't preclude it from happening in the future. I suspect it might, but it'll have to be addressed at a later date.
Okay.
Likely with local funds.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on item number 11. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-11 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-12. This is a new project, I-15 Payson's Main Street Interchange. This is a project, $300,000 using some TIF funds. And the 2023 Utah General Legislative Session, Senate Bill 2 directed the department to complete an interchange upgrade on I-15 at Payson Main Street. The I-15 Payson Main Street Phase 1 project will construct an interchange to provide more access to Payson and the area south of I-15. Funding for the project in Senate Bill 2 is contingent upon a substantial right-of-way donation. Region 3 proposes that $300,000 be approved for the preparation of right-of-way plans. The plans, documents, and related activities necessary to facilitate the right-of-way donation. A future request will address funding necessary for the balance of the project. And included is from the legislature out of the bill. MAG approved this at their July 31st, 2023 meeting. So this is the location for this project. And today's request is motion to approve adding the I-15 Payson Main Street Interchange Phase 1 project to the current STIP as detailed.
Make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
The motion and the second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-12 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-13. This is also to abandon a project, 400 North and 100 West roundabout in Moab City. The project scope of the Moab 400 North to 100 West roundabout Moab City project was to realign a local interchange or intersection. Moab City applied for and received a joint highway committee funding to fund the project. During the design phase, the estimates to complete the proposed project were much higher than the city had anticipated. The revised project estimate total $2.65 million. Moab City is requesting to cancel the project and return the remaining federal funds instead of covering the difference with local funds. Moab City will be responsible to pay the match on the expended $300,000 in PE costs to the date of approximately $21,000. Here's a location of where that project was going to be.
Too bad. That would have been a wonderful project.
The request is a motion to approve abandoning the 400 North, 100 West roundabout Moab City project and removing it from the current STIP as detailed.
Do we anticipate that project will come back?
Monty Aldridge, Region 4 Director. At this time, I don't see it coming back, but the need may still exist, and so we'll have to wait and see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monty.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So we've done several of these today that we've approved money to do this kind of study work and that. We spend that money, part of it, maybe not the whole project. And all of a sudden we can't do it. So now we're canceling the project, and bringing back in. Is that just money that we've spent with no results other than to find out we can't do it?
Come on, go ahead.
So in other words, I better use that terminology.
I can
We're
probably-
trying to, I guess we're saying that as we approve, as we start these, we want to be pretty sure that the projects are going to go through.
Yes.
Know the parameters by which it would not go through. And I'm just looking at trying to save a little money here as we try to pull information together.
Absolutely. That's something that we have to be very cognizant of. On this particular project is a Joint Highway Committee project, so it's federal funds. And there was actually a change in the IIJA that doesn't require the state to pay back pre-construction funds that are expended prior to if they don't go to construction within 10 years. That's a change that just happened. A memo came out in December of 2022. We became aware of it in March of 2023, and that's what has allowed Moab to back out of this project. We absolutely have the intent of completing every project that we initiate, especially on our state system, and we vet and strongly encourage the local governments to do the same. In this circumstance, the accounting, the finances just didn't line up with their ability to handle that increased cost. And so we provided them all their options, and this is the option that they took.
Well, it's better to pull the plug faster than sooner than later.
Yeah.
I guess my experience at the Senate was up there for a while. Higher education got to this thing that if they were pushing a building and all of a sudden there wasn't going to be enough money, let's just provide us some planning money so we can get started and get some ideas. And so what they were actually doing is trying to stack the funds to be higher up on the list for the next year. And I think we want to be, I'm just saying as a commission, we need to be aware of that. And because we've seen a couple of today.
Yep.
So
yes,
that's just
this is the first one that I'm aware of that we've done in Region 4, and then actually the first couple that I've seen in my tenure. We generally, once we go, we try to vet those before we get to the point of no return where we expend very many funds.
And I guess the others were rolling it into another project, but this one isn't rolling into another.
This one was an independent
Okay.
standalone project. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add to the conversation, because I think Commissioner Van Tassel's point is a really important point. This is, honestly, this is a local government job with Joint Highway Committee money that they make a recommendation to the commission. The commission has the approval authority over the Joint Highway Committee money. The amount of effort that, you know, the regions have the capacity to overlook these local jobs, I'll say is limited. We will offer help if the communities want it, but this is really the local communities, and they don't have the capability to really do enough work in that initial phase to be able to ascertain what the total costs will be or what the impacts might be. And so it's almost, you have to have some money to basically hire engineering, to do the survey work, to do the utility investigation, to kind of figure out what's out there. And in this case, they did not appreciate the size of the project. And so I think we have to, it's better to stop sooner than to just keep digging. And so, but I think it's a great point he makes.
Thank you.
Second.
The motion and the second. Thank you for all the information, Monty and Carlos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 8A-13 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is, this is a scope change on SR 18 Snow Canyon State Park White Rocks Acceleration Lane Project. So there's no funding requested. The original scope of the SR 18 Snow Canyon State Park White Rocks Acceleration Lane Project included a right turn deceleration lane and right turn acceleration lane at the White Rocks Trailhead parking lot on SR 18 near milepost 11.7. During the design phase of the project, Snow Canyon State Park Manager sent a request to the department asking to expand the White Rocks parking lot. The region evaluated the request, and due to a limited site distance, the vertical and horizontal curves near the access and the profile grade, it was determined that without a left turn deceleration lane and acceleration, the additional traffic at the White Rocks trailhead would increase a safety concern at this location. In close coordination with the state park, a recommendation to utilize the existing turn lanes at the north entrance of the park, approximately a half a mile to the south near milepost 11.2, and develop a frontage road and new parking lot was presented. The existing White Rocks parking lot, trailhead, and access point would be closed. This scope adjustment will greatly improve the safety of those entering and exiting the park, the state park, by providing increased sight distance and turn lane for each turning movement. The scope of the project will include multi-use path parallel to the frontage road connecting the new parking lot with the north park entrance and the south parking lots where the trail currently ends, and the parking lot expansion to the south parking lot. The park will close the current dirt parking lot by moving boulders into the parking area and reclaim the current trail section that will no longer be used. The modified scope of this new project, the SR 18 Snow Canyon Park Access and Parking Project, can be designed and constructed within the existing budget, and we anticipate construction in the spring of 2024. Well, here's a map of the location.
This is going tonight. It's not raining too hard.
Here's showing the location of these two parking facilities, one that's been closed and one that's the path is running to. Photo of some sight distance issues. So the request is a motion to approve scope and name change from SR 118 Snow Canyon southbound White Rocks acceleration lane to SR 118 Snow Canyon Park Access and Parking Project as detailed.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'm quite sure you would like to be the one making this motion, but since you can't, I would like to do that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate both of you. Thank you. Yes, indeed. This is a needed project. For those of you traveling SR 18, going to State Park, it's Snow Canyon State Park. We have had some near misses, some accidents, some frustrated people. So this will really alleviate all the challenges, extra parking and accommodation. Thank you. So with that, any other questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-14 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-15. This is a new project, SR 143 slope stabilization and flood repair. Thank you. Phase 2. This is using Protect funds and new funds for $3.5 million. This project is a continuation of the SR 143 slope stabilization and flood repair project the commission approved in September of 2022. The project will stabilize slopes and protect the roadway from milepost 9.75 to milepost 12.35 in Parowan Canyon that continues to experience flooding and debris flow. The first project scope included the areas from milepoint 9.75 to mile point 12.35 as additives. However, as bid construction costs exceeded funding for the entire scope. This project addresses those additional additive sections. A new project was set up with $25,000 to prepare the advertising package for the additional additives. That project was approved by the Deputy Director's authority given in the Utah Transportation Commission Policy 01-01. So here's the location map of this project. Here's some photographs. Here's some photos of the repair of the previous section. So today's request is a motion to approve adding the SR 143 slope stabilization and flood repair phase 2 project to the current STIP as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make this motion. We got hammered yesterday. We expect to get hammered again today in Iron County. So any and all of these efforts are going to be helpful, because if we don't stop it up there, it ends up coming onto I-15.
Oh, yes.
Did I say that right, Monty? I'm not a liar. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any other concerns, questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 8A-15 is approved.
Thank you. I think we're almost halfway done. Next item is 8A-16. This is the funding addition on the US 6 Tucker to Soldier Summit. 1.12 million of additional funds from the high volume program.
You mean 2.12?
I'm sorry, 2.120. Yes. The scope of the US 6 Tucker to Soldier Summit project is to provide rehabilitation of the existing pavement with a mill and asphalt overlay on US 6 from milepost 204.3 to milepost 211.4. The additional $2,120,000 is needed to address inflation related to asphalt structures, elements, and other construction costs. Here's the location of where this project's going to be. And I can say personally, driving my trailer across that section, it's very needed. So the request is the motion to approve adding funds to the US 6 Tucker to Soldier Summit project as detailed.
Motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-16 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-17. This is a funding addition to I-15 northbound climbing lanes from milepost 43 to milepost 56. The request for 40 million of additional funds. The scope of the I-15 northbound climbing lanes, milepost 43 to milepost 56 project will widen I-15 to 3 lanes in each 3 lanes to address the traffic demands on the corridor. The project will tie into the existing 3-lane section at milepost 43. The project concept and estimate were initially generated in early 2020 prior to the significant increase in construction cost experienced in the last 3 years. The 2026 project estimate identifies funding shortfalls due to the increased material costs caused by inflation. Specific costs of increase have been identified in construction, 4.5 million, asphalt, 11 million, labor, 6.1 million, road excavation and untreated base course in Granite Borough at 7.5 million, and other construction materials. This project is also being paired with the Cedar City Interchange grant proposal for a multimodal project discretionary grant application. If the project is selected, the project would include climbing lanes on I-15 from milepost 43 to 58, and the preferred alternative from the Cedar City Interchange Environmental Assessment, EA. Here's a map of that location. So the request is a motion to approve the funding addition to the I-15 northbound climbing lanes, milepost 43 to 56 project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I know this is a surprise to you. I would very much like to make the motion.
Your motion is welcome. Thank you.
And I second it.
Thank you. So this project being 3 years away, are we not hoping some kind of adjustment on the inflation going lower?
Monty Aldridge, Region 4 Director. Yes, we have built the inflation for the next 3 years into our current estimates. And so we are in hopes, we believe that we have adequately addressed those, but the market will finally tell us the answer to that.
So if we go down, go ahead, Steve.
No. So I think the dollars are gonna be worked out. But to me, as I travel that road, this does away with a choke point.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we come up the canyon, we've got passing lane, and all of a sudden we get to the
Yep.
top, and there we are.
Yep.
So I think this is a safety factor as much as anything.
Thank you, Martin. So we have a motion and a second on this project, number 17. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-17 is approved.
Thank you. Next item, 8A-18, it's a funding addition for the River Road Bridge Replacement Project. Request is for $2,646,000 of Joint Highway Committee bridge funds, off-system bridge funds, excuse me. The scope of the River Road Bridge Replacement Project is replace the road bridge, additional riprap to the river channel, and to tie the roadway into the new structure. It is now ready for advertisement. Since the 2018 funding estimate, inflation has substantially impacted the cost of mobilization, pavement, structural concrete, and reinforcing steel. During project team meetings, the proposed design changed, impacting the amount of riprap and size of the structure. This resulted in a requested funding increase. This item was resubmitted to the Joint Highway Committee during the last call for projects and the reevaluation against all applications received for the off-system bridge program. The Joint Highway Committee recommends increasing the funding on this project and proceeding with proposed changes, excuse me. Here is the location map for this bridge. Request is a motion to add the funding to the River Road Bridge Replacement Project as detailed.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-18 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 8A-19. This is the addition of some projects to the Bridge Formula Program. This is the list of projects that's being recommended to be added.
Does locally owned mean by the city? Not by individuals?
County.
City or county?
Yeah.
This is part of the grant. Money for this is coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Remind me.
Yeah. Sure.
At the April 29th, 2022 Transportation Commission meeting, the commission approved the bridge list. This was a list of 90 bridges prioritized based on condition and load restrictions eligible for funding for the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act Bridge Formula Program. The following locally owned bridges are on that approved bridge formula structures list. So this list here details the projects that 21308 is 4 projects on that, none of which require a match. They're in Box Elder County. The next 3 bridges are all in the city. They all will require a match. The one 500 south of Jordan River in Salt Lake will not require a match. The 2 in American Fork City will not require a match, as well as the 1 in Weber County. The proposed scope of the projects listed in the above tables is to perform full bridge replacements for each respective structure. These existing structures are all currently in low to fair or poor condition. A local match is required for projects with bridges located on the federal aid system. Holiday City, Midvale City, and Riverton City are in support of these projects and are able to provide the necessary match. In addition, all the other local agencies listed have been contacted or are in support of these projects. These will be maps of where these bridges are located. Box Elder County, the 4. Holiday City, where I live. One in Midvale City. One in Riverton. One in Salt Lake City. And the 2 in American Fork. The 1 in Huntsville. Here's some photographs of the condition of these bridges. Looks like the 1 in American Fork is a culvert being replaced. So today the request is a motion to approve the Bridge Formula Program project additions as detailed.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments on those 7 bridges? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A-19 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. These next items, 20 through 26, these are all for information only, so they'll not need any motion for approval. I'll just go through those. That's just an email from the city saying that they'll in support. Okay, this project was highlighted earlier today, the item 8A-20. This is the Apapa Road Safety and Rehabilitation Project. It's a new project for $18,131,000, some change. The scope of the Apapa Road Safety and Rehabilitation Project will rehabilitate the existing pavement, install guardrails, update traffic signs, upgrade drainage structures. This project was recently awarded the following grants to help fund this project. $3.5 million from the Federal Consolidated Appropriations Act 2023. Match from Tooele County, which is $254,000. $6.03 million from the Rural Surface Transportation Grant Program, and the $8.3 million from the National Significant Federal Lands and Tribal projects that Ivan highlighted earlier. Map of where this work is going to take place at. Letter of support from Tooele County. And as I said, this is just for information only. Next item is 8A.
Can I ask a
Oh,
question on
oh,
that,
please.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead,
Sorry.
please.
So we're anticipating, and I don't know, this is probably region two. We're anticipating that this 18 million will redo all of the highway that's in Utah, correct?
Yeah,
According
Robert
to
Stewart,
the
Region
map.
2 Director. So I think that the projected cost that Tooele County was looking for was in the 25 million. They've been searching for every grant that they can find to do this. Because of the money that they've got, they've reduced the scope from a full reconstruction to just what they call a full depth reclamation project. So they take the existing material, add oil, repave it. So it's not what they were looking for, but this is the amount of money they've been able to cobble together to fix that road, which Ivan had said was in bad repair. It's a gravel road. It's not supposed to be a gravel road. It was a paved road, but it's been disrepair for forever. 15 years ago, I took a trip out there and it was in bad shape then.
If you haven't driven that highway, you need to take an afternoon and do it. The worst part about this problem highway is no one claims it.
Yeah,
Willa does just because it's in there, but they don't really want it.
Yeah, the only
But
access
they don't have
is
any choice.
from out of state. You actually have to go through Wendover, out into Nevada, and then come back into Utah in order to get to it.
And I can't remember how that piece of road off of the main road into there to the Utah line, it wasn't extremely well, but this will get the majority of
Yeah,
it.
this will get the pavement that's in disrepair back into a repair. It's just not going to be fully reconstructing the whole pavement section in order to do that.
Okay.
Great project.
It's unfortunate.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Robert.
Great drive.
It's worth an afternoon.
Why afternoon?
day.
Why afternoon, Commission? Any particular reason?
Okay, the next,
Caravan.
next agenda item is 8A-21. This is Ness Canyon Trailhead Improvement. Again, this is for information only. This is $858,000 project. The scope of the Ness Canyon Trailhead Improvement Project is to resurface the Ness Canyon parking lot and install a new restroom. This project was recently awarded $800,000 from the Federal Consolidated Appropriations Act in 2023 and will be funded with the required match from Mill Creek City. This little red dot on the right-hand side of, that's where Ness Canyon is. It's well off the road. This is a letter of support from Mill Creek City. Any questions on this project? Okay. Next project is 8A-22. There's three projects. US 40 pavement repair project from milepost 88 to 96. US 191 pavement repair project milepost 379.8 to 386. And US 40 pavement repair project Heber to Duchesne. These were pavement repair projects funded from the Region 3's Transportation Solutions program. 175,000, 170,000, 150,000. These were all approved from the region director's funding requirement. The wet winter and increased truck traffic have accelerated the need to address a few pavement sections on US 40 and 191. Region 3 recommended 3 projects to treat these sections. Each were treated with 3-inch overlay. The projects are proposed to be funded with state funds in order to allow state forces to perform the overlays and complete them this summer and fall. These are the projects that we just highlighted. Maps of these projects. And again, this is for information only. They were approved by the Deputy Director's authority given by the Transportation Commission Policy 01-01. Any questions on these projects? Next item, 8A-23. Again, this is for information only. US 89 widened from Pleasant Grove to 500 East and American Fork Phase 2. This is taken $7,371,219 of highway safety funds and some TIF money from the parent project, creating another project that's part of this same project, just another project. So there's no scope or funding change on this. The State Street, Pleasant Grove, 200 South, American Fork, 500 East, Phase 1, and US 189 widening from Pleasant Grove to 500 East and American Fork Phase 2 project will widen the US 89 State Street to 3 lanes in each direction from 220 South and Pleasant Grove to 500 East and American Fork. Due to challenges in obtaining an agreement with the UPRR, the project will be split into 2 phases. Phase 1 will focus on improvements from 500 East and American Fork and Pleasant Grove Boulevard, 200 South area. Phase 2 will focus on the road widening and intersection improvements in between these locations and will be completed when the agreements are completed. Mountain Land Association government approved this at their July 31st meeting. Here's a map of where this is occurring, breaking it into the 2 phases. And again, this is for information only.
It's one of the busiest spots in Utah County, so thank you for that.
Any questions? Okay. Next item is 8A-24. This is the Patchwork Parkway Interpretive Sign and Kiosk Project.
There you go.
$312,358. This is Utah Patchwork Parkway has coordinated with the National Scenic Byways Program and received funds to build Utah's Patchwork Parkway Interpretive Sign and Kiosk along SR 143. The scope consists of constructing 9 interpretive kiosk facilities, replacing 4 byways, wayfinding and directional metal signs, and producing printed and digital accessible interpretive material. This project is aligned with the Byways Corridor Management Plan and Interpretive and Signage Master Plan to develop safe, accessible sites to provide historical, archaeological, cultural, natural, recreational, and scenic interpretive information to enhance the traveler's experience. This project is in partnership with the Iron and Garfield counties, along with the communities of Parowan, Bryan Head, and Tangwich. There's a map of where those kiosks are going to be placed. And signage. Here's a list of the plan implementation. And again, this is for information only.
Mr. Chairman, maybe it's my opportunity to, I said that I appreciate so much great signage, and this is a nice contribution to that. I told our executive director that I've been hundreds of miles in the last couple of months around Utah, and there's still some signage that we could do better. And it's, you know, it's what the public sees, and some of it's even safety related. And I will personally be happy to give you my ideas about that in some depth. My company buys several $100,000 worth of signs every year, and we seem to be able to keep track of them and keep them upgraded because that's how we make our living. And I would really like to see more focus somehow on our signage that is for our great state, because it's what visitors see. And I look at Diane, we get the corridor preservation money from those rental cars at the airport, and they're expecting to have a good experience. That's how we get our funding for that. I think those tourists who come here and rent expect and demand and deserve some better signage here and there for safety's sake. And I'd be happy to go out there at midnight and kind of clean some of them up, because there are ways to protect it before it gets so bad. So anyway, congratulations on this point. I hope that we'll see some more action on it. Give me a transportation solution fund and I can make some things happen.
Do you have a list? Do you have a working list?
I've got some working
Put that in a Google Doc and I'll share it with you.
Well, I can show you some photos that would match some of those bridge pictures and say, this can't be Utah. So anyway, that's the end of the preaching for today, but thank you for doing this. It's a great start and more opportunities ahead to excel in this great state of ours.
Thank you.
End of discussion. And it was, Carlos, I hadn't done it this year, so I figured it was my turn to jump in again one more time, just in case you've forgotten. Thankfully, forgotten.
So.
No. And I do as well. I know where my signs are and where they need upgraded in my company. So, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Luke. Next item is 8A-25. This is a carbon reduction plan development project. It's $250,000 for this project. The carbon reduction formula funds were first included in the 2023 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The new funds are received by states through formula distribution and directs the states in part to require each state in consultation with the MPOs designated within the state to develop a carbon reduction strategy no later than 2 years after enactment and update the strategy at least every 4 years. Requires a carbon reduction strategy to support efforts and identify projects and strategies to support the reduction of transportation emissions. At the state's discretion, qualify the total carbon emissions from production, transport, and use of material used in construction of transportation facilities in the state and be appropriated to population densities and contexts of the state, including any MPO designated within the state, and allows the carbon reduction strategy to include projects and strategies for safe, reliable, and cost-effective options to reduce traffic congestion by facilitating the use of alternatives to single occupant vehicle trips, including public transportation facilities, pedestrian facilities, bicycle facilities, and shared or pooled vehicle trips within the state or an area served by the relative MPO. Facilitate use of vehicles or modes of travel that result in lower transportation emissions per person mile traveled as compared to existing vehicles and modes, and facilitates approaches to the construction of transportation assets that require and lower transportation emissions as compared to the existing approaches. This program or this project will find the initial development of the state's carbon reduction strategy plan. Again, this is information only. This project has been approved by the Deputy Director's Authority and given in the Utah Transportation Commission Policy 01-01. Any questions?
How is this being, I'm assuming we didn't get any new people to manage these sorts of things. So where, how are we managing this people-wise?
I got to ask Andrea if there was, somebody that could help us within the planning organization. So, I mean, we're going to rely, we've got some people in our planning group that are going to do this, and we're going to work with our MPO partners. We've talked about including people with DAQ, Department of Air Quality, and we've had some initial conversations with FHWA. I mean, it's something that we've been talking about for a little bit, and I think this initial effort is probably leaning more to like the white paper approach to start with. A lot of the questions that we originally had were kind of waiting for the guidance for the formula program fund that came out, and so it is a little bit probably starting it a little bit later than we initially would have expected. But yeah, so long answer to a short question, but it's existing people.
So it feels kind of committee-ish.
Yeah, with help. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other question? Go ahead.
Thank you. All right, next item is 8A-26. This is a list of project combinations. This is just for information only. So SR 39, there's 2 projects there that are combining. There's 2 projects on I-15, concrete repair that they're combining. 2 projects, I-80 culvert rehabilitation projects that they're combining. SR 222 Snake Creek culvert is combining into SR 35 and SR 208 and Sand Cliff Road project. They're combining, as well as the SR 212 Snake Creek culvert
replacement into another SR 222 project they're combining. There are several projects that you saw from US 191 that we're combining those into 4 projects. And so this is the list, combining those in on US 191, those safety projects, $88.5 million. And then there's 2 projects in Ballard on 1500 East that are being combined. The above tables show project combinations. These individual projects have been previously approved through commission action. Project combinations are done to provide efficiencies in project delivery. So again, for information only. Any questions?
Bob, do you want to take just a minute break and drink water or take a deep breath or something?
Oh, I think we're getting down to the nitty gritty here
Okay.
real quick. Okay. Next item is 8B. This is a request, the draft 2024-2029 statewide transportation improvement program. It's gone through its public comment. We're back to request approval to release to Federal Highways and Federal Transit for its review. The draft STIP has been prepared and summarized to reflect guidance and suggestions resultant from the region's priorities from the workshops. At the April 23rd commission meeting, approval was given to publish the draft STIP. Notice was given in local papers with information regarding whom and how to comment. The STIP was also open for public for review and comment from June 24th through July 29th on the UDOT website. Comments were received regarding the STIP by the department and the MPOs.
Any idea how many comments?
309 comments were received. The majority of those were through Wasatch Front Regional Council. And
Read a lot of them.
Right.
so today's, pardon me. So today's request is approval to release the draft 2024-2029 STIP to Federal Highways for the review and approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
This is so much, this is this is amazing.
Yeah.
All of the work.
This is the lunch.
This is the document that we'll submit. So all of our work through April and
It
our
looks
workshop.
really heavy, Ivan. You've got Brigitte to help you carry it.
So we have a motion. There's a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8-B is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is, and here again, 108 comments were received. And there's a long list of these comments here, so I'll just zip through these real quick. They're in your packet for you to review. Thought about reading them all, but thought we would just get to the bottom of it. Okay. 8C-1. This is the ACIP amendment. So it's a for information only project combination. So the ACIP, these projects, Monticello Airport Runway Pavement Maintenance Project, the 2024 is being, I guess I should say the 2028 project from the Monticello Airport TWY Apron Pavement Maintenance Project is being added into the Monticello Airport Runway Pavement Maintenance Project. So these projects are being combined. The above table show project combinations. The individual projects have previously been approved through the commission action. Combining these projects allow UDOT to include the taxiway connectors and ramp area due to rapid deterioration of those areas. Project combinations are done to provide efficiencies in project delivery. So this is for information only, but any questions on this? Nope. No? All right. And the last item for me is item 8D. This is the Recreational Trails Program. The Federal Recreational Trails Program was authorized by Congress in 1991 as part of the Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act of 1999. This act establishes the Recreational Trails Program funding and Federal Recreational Trails Trust Fund. Recreational Trails Program grants are available for non-motorized and motorized trail projects. This project was continued through current authorization. These projects are selected and administrated through the Utah State Parks and Recreation Division. Funds may be used to provide and maintain recreational trails for motorized and non-motorized recreational trail uses, including trailside and trailhead facilities. It includes provisions to facilitate access for people with disabilities as well. For the 2024 program, Utah has 21 projects totaling a little over 1.9 million in federal aid and 7.7 million of sponsored matching funds for a total of 9.6 million in new project costs and new project value. Contact information regarding the Recreational Trails Program is Caroline Weiler at the Department of Natural Resources and Tara McKee at the Governor's Office of Business Development. These projects were shown to you at the June commission meeting. So this is being brought back for approval. There is someone from the Natural Resources online if there's questions. But the request is a motion to approve adding the 2024 Recreational Trails Program to the current STIP as detailed.
Yes.
I'd like to make that motion and express appreciation for the work that's being done on trails throughout the state. It's very important and impacting many people throughout the state. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to entertain a second on the motion.
Second.
There's a second on the motion too. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8C-2 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This concludes my portion of the business items.
Thank you.
Look at the big books he had to use.
Unanimous support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we continue with the rest of the program items, and Andrea Olson is coming forward to talk about the Recreation Trail Program.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. I am Andrea Olson, the UDOT Planning Director, and I am here today requesting your approval of the updated project prioritization process and model and document. I know I don't have to tell you what a big milestone this is for the project prioritization process. So let's see. I need to share here. Oops, that's not what I mean. So I just briefly want to remind you where we've been. In June, we had quite an in-depth conversation about the revised process. We talked about the goals and objectives of that revision, reviewed the outreach process that we had gone through, looked at the models, I should say, in a lot of detail, including each of the individual measures we were proposing, and then talked about the model documentation. We've also made some changes to the document. I think it's really cleaning it up in terms of revision, clarified some wording to make it consistent with rules, legislation, things like that, and then defined some acronyms. So with that, I would love to get your approval for the Transportation Capacity Project Prioritization Process document with indicated revisions, or answer any questions you may have.
I want to commend you, Andrea, and I want to support or make this motion.
I second both the commendation and the support. That is a lot of work and it makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Andrew.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Item-
I appreciate the commendations. I have very little credit I can take for this, but Steph Tomlin and her team have really led this effort and I will pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10, express lengthy waiver. Daryl, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, thank you for allowing me to be here again today. My name is Darrell Ballantyne, UDOT's RUC Road Usage Charge Program Manager. Yesterday, I detailed the highlights of our pilot that we're engaging in. And today I'm asking for approval to waive the express lane fees for the duration of our pilot.
We have some explanation yet in the staff meeting, so if you remember,
It's very helpful.
How long is it for? Remind us.
Roughly 6 months.
Yeah, I think I would like to make this motion.
thank you. There's a motion and a second on item number 10. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Thank you, Daryl. Corridor preservation, Carmen, you're up again. You're such an important person. They want you for every category.
Yeah, I'm just lucky today. So, commissioners, thank you again. My name is Carmen Swanwick. I am the project development director, and today I'm also the director of right of way. So,
Yay.
let's see.
And now our judge is officially the judge. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
he, yes, last week, I believe, he was appointed. So congratulations to Charles. It's exciting news for him and his next adventure. So,
For the guy.
And sad news for Charles, Diane, you've done a perfect job.
yes.
And now Diane has to train somebody.
Well, she's doing a good job of training me right now. So I'm working on it.
Yeah,
So-
Carmen's in the process, the right-of-way director reports to
Right.
Carmen, so she's gonna probably be motivated to fill that position.
Very quickly, very
Yeah.
quickly. No, it's all been great. So, moving on to the corridor preservation fund. We'll start here with budget and obligations. Let's see.
Income's really up.
Mhm.
I think this is the wrong one. This is May. Is there one for June? Is it down at the bottom? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. All right, here we are. This makes a lot more sense to me now. So here we are for the end of June. We have the revenue has been almost $1 million at this point. We had some expenses in the property management and then other expenses and some vouchers paid. And that was just about $35,000, $36,000. So that leaves us the fund balance just about $56 million as of June 30th. So moving down here, so these are the funds that are obligated but not dispersed at this point. So there's 9 properties, and the total of those would value $25.5 million once those have gone through. And so that leaves us a fund balance of almost $31 million. So what I'm going to bring you today is an agenda item for a request to purchase a property. And this is SR 85, and it's the Patterson Construction is the owner. And it's valued at just over $4 million. And if approved today, that would leave the balance at about $26.7 million. Here you can see the tracking sheet just to see where the funding has been coming from for that almost $1 million in revenue. The motor vehicle, property management, and then that's interest. So you can see the trend in the fund tracking. Okay, moving down, some background on the property today. Patterson Construction. So they own 4 parcels in Saratoga Springs for a combined approximate area of just over 14 acres. There's 2 single homes on it, which are about almost 1 acre each. And the balance around it is undeveloped land, and you'll be able to see that in the map. I'll scroll down in a minute. Patterson has plans to redevelop the land, residential subdivision, and development is imminent at this point. So again, the property was appraised at just over 4.1 million. And this is to be used for SR 85 or the Foothill Boulevard along this route. And so the advisory council did give a favorable recommendation upon this request. So you can see the property right here in the whole scheme of SR 85. Get down so you can see really the very detailed section of it, and you can see how development would be imminent in this area.
Yep.
And this map will provide all of the sections you can see here, or what has already been purchased for corridor preservation for SR 85. So you can see it really makes a lot of sense to purchase this property for SR 85. And so with that, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take them.
So you're gonna ask for motion?
Sorry. Do I have a motion?
We make that motion, Commissioner Levin, I'd serve on the advisory committee, and it's really been a helpful vehicle to prepare ourselves for future growth. And it's only gonna get more expensive down there. It's starting, well said, much more developed. So I certainly do recommend it.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
thank you. Motion and motion and the second, everything.
Very
Any
good.
other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 11 is approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Before we move on to next item, on the business items, I made a mistake. I called item 8A, 8D, 8C-2, so I'm making that correction with the record, please. A motion was for 8D rather than 8C-2. Thank you. Bottom of the page was cut off. I assume there's the next item. Okay, next item, state stewardship is the number 12, and Peter Asplund is going to be the first one to present.
Thank you, Chairman, and it's nice to see you, Commissioners. I'm Peter Asplund with Legislative Affairs and Policy for UDOT. We've reviewed this the last meeting and also yesterday, but for members of the public listening in for the first time, we're looking for the Commission's approval to approve our recommended changes to Rule 940-3 State Infrastructure Bank Fund, which is a Commission rule. Senate Bill 185 from the 2023 legislative session made changes to the Utah Code related to the State Infrastructure Bank, or SIB. The SIB operates, overseen by UDOT, is a revolving loan fund for public transportation projects. In recent years, they've also added to it publicly owned infrastructure projects, which are then further defined currently as sewer and water projects. And any of the loans from the fund must be approved by the Commission. But this last session, the change they made to the SIB was that they added a new separate account within the SIB for publicly owned infrastructure projects in greenfield areas. and further said that those greenfield area projects must be a mile beyond an existing water supply, water distribution facility, or a wastewater facility. Now, so the changes have to be made to the rule, but the legislature also didn't fund this new account yet. So there's no money in it. So the revised rule allows the SIB to be used for publicly owned infrastructure projects in greenfield areas, but also makes it clear that we can't do any loans for those projects unless there's funding in that account from the legislature. It clarifies some of the definitions and made technical changes. And so with that, we'd like to, or I'd ask if the commission would make a motion to, let's get the rule right, to approve the revisions to Rule 940-3 State Infrastructure Bank Fund. And then, and by approving them, UDOT will forward them to the Office of Administrative Rules for the public review process and then publishing as an official rule.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve as stated. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 12-A is approved. Thank you,
Thank you.
Peter. Next item is going to be presented by Leif Elder.
Mr. Chair, you've said my name perfectly there. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sometimes it gets on the record, the official record forever, and it's not properly said. It's Leif, just like you said it. Leif Elder with UDOT, the Director of Policy and Legislative Affairs, here to talk about this next rule. This is a new rule. It would be a new commission rule. And as the process goes for these rules, give you a meeting to review the rule, provide feedback, and then potentially at a subsequent meeting to vote on that rule. So this particular rule addresses an issue related to transportation reinvestment zones. This is a concept that the legislature studied in 2017 and subsequently passed legislation in 2018. It has to do with capturing some of the value that comes from a transportation improvement. So a little bit similar to a CRA or RDA, which captures the economic growth. This is a little more narrow, capturing the increased tax revenues that might come because of a transportation improvement project. So this rule is before you. I'll just go through it quickly, and let's see. Here we go. I have additional background there in the fact sheet if you'd like to look at that. But again, we'll be coming back at a subsequent meeting. So the way these transportation reinvestment zones work is the statute allows for two government entities to enter into those an agreement that would allow for the an agreement on the additional tax revenues, what those will be used for, what projects they'll be used for, and so forth. So one of those entities could be the state, and we've had somebody approach us about being interested in doing one of those. I believe that was Layton City, and so we don't have a process in place, and so this rule would provide that process. And so what it requires is for that public agency to notify the department, to submit a proposal, and the proposal, the request for participation in a TRZ has to include details about the project, whether or not the projects are on the STIP or on the long range plan, environmental information, a draft TRZ agreement, other resources that the local government might be bringing to the project, if any. Also important is the boundaries of the TRZ as well as the project area. So they provide a map that shows that. An economic impact analysis to explain the benefits and the increased tax revenue that's expected because of the project. They'd also have to provide cost estimates for the proposed project as well as a schedule for when that might take place. And then they'd have to declare any conflicts of interest that they might be aware of for the project. So the department would receive that and go through an analysis, take a look at it, make sure it meets the requirements of the rule, make sure that the environmental clearances are reasonably probable. We'd also do our own cost estimates to see if they're similar to what was provided by the local government. And then once we see that everything's in order, we'd then notify the commission in a public meeting. And ultimately, the commission would decide whether or not the state would enter into participate in the TRZ. And subsequently, the department would sign the agreement once approval was given from the commission. And there are some criteria listed in the rule by which the commission would kind of review these. They would use the criteria to review the proposed TRZ. And those criteria include whether or not the project is on a STIP or a TIP, or if it would impact other projects that the commission has programmed. It would also look at, what are the benefits of the project for the state and also the local government. We had a conversation yesterday. Commissioner Gochner suggested that maybe land use ought to be included. And so I'm going to go back and add some land use criteria there if that's what the commission would like. There's also the TRZ agreement is really important. So that draft agreement might educate the commission's responsibility to review whether or not to do the TRZ. So anyway, the rules before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I do also want to mention one other addition we wanted to make. We got some feedback from one of the MPOs that, in fact, that was Andrew Gruber at WFRC. I gave him an opportunity to take a look at the rule, and he suggested that this could also apply to transit projects, since UDOT and the commission deal with transit projects, primarily projects prioritized in the TTIS. So I plan on adding that as well, as long as there's no objections from the commission, as well as the land use provision that was suggested yesterday. But happy to answer any questions if there are any, and we can do that offline later on if they come up as you read through this and review it further. So.
And this is for information only, right?
Yes, just for information today, and then a subsequent meeting we'd potentially bring it back if you put it on the agenda. So.
Any questions?
Thanks for the thorough walkthrough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Almost at the end of the program today. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Item number 13 is information items, and at this point, we ask the commission to report on their assignments and committees. So, Commissioner Menlo, start us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We continue to have productive corridor preservation meetings, and you can see the results of those as those proposals come here. And we've appreciated Charles' leadership and look forward to the transition. I'd also like to provide a quick update on some local meetings we've been holding in Region 1 where we meet with local government officials, county commissioners, and city leaders. And these have been very helpful in understanding and learning about the local communities. And we held our first one in Box Elder County, and that was a productive and an interesting meeting to me in Box Elder County to see how they do their work, and having lived there and understanding now of the county from another perspective. So that was very positive, and we're looking forward to continuing those meetings, and I compliment Rob and his team for participating in those meetings and all the preparation they do and the follow-up that they do after the meetings. I think it's a great way to understand the local issues and then bring them to the attention of the commission. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I'll just report that I had a great meeting with Wasatch Front Regional Council, Andrew Gruber and Ted Knowlton, talking about the Wasatch Choices update. They brought in the big map. We spent an hour looking at it, and I was very excited to encourage them to really give a more significant focus on the urban center as a unique and different part of our region, and to give it the priority treatment it deserves.
Thank you. Commissioner Kramer.
I join in Commissioner Menlo's report in the Corridor Preservation Advisory Council. That really serves a great need. It allows us to get ahead of development and in advance of what our needs are going to be. I made probably too many comments already, but I should add that the recent publicity around the line striping was very well received, and even my doctor called me up and said, thank you for, I said, well, that's our wonderful UDOT team doing that. So thanks for the opportunity.
That was the commit, I mean, the commission did the $26 million for that program. The ongoing money was the legislature, the $6 million. So it's thanks to the commission.
Yeah, thank you. It was very nice.
Thank you. Commissioner Long.
I don't have necessarily a commission assignment to report on, but I do want to compliment Region 4. I've been invited to the Cedar City Solutions design effort that is going on, that Region 4 is coordinating with partners. And it's just really great to see how our people listen and guide and provide expertise to help us find good solutions in our communities.
Thank you. Commissioner Mantanzo.
Well, I spent yesterday afternoon with Andrew and a lot of people working on transportation plans and programs. Appreciate their work. And Region 3, we appreciate all that you're doing to keep those trucks on the road and not off the road. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. And on August 3rd, I attended Community Impact Board meetings. We had 10 projects, including rec center, senior citizen center, medical center, fire truck, police department expansions, 2 water projects, 2 sewer projects, and easements for the DNB roads. And according to 7 county infrastructure coalitions, we may have a railroad soon to export our goods throughout the world. So get ready for that one. And the Dixie Transportation Executive Council, also we had it the day before yesterday. They talked about the Connecting Communities grant support, Ivan. So, and also Purgatory Road funding, which is still trying to wait and find out what they're gonna do with the bridge and the road combination. And they finally adopted final 2023-2028 TIP plan. So that's my report for those 2 committees that I said. Carlos, anything from UDOT?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think we provided enough material for conversation today. Thank you for your patience of the whole commission.
Heavens, yes. Lisa, Ben, Region 4 directors or deputy directors, anything you would like to share? Good news, exciting news? Wow, quiet people we have today. Well, that is today's agenda. So after this, I think we're gonna go to conference room 310 like you had it yesterday, since we don't have the food authorization to eat in the council room. I think we're gonna have opportunity to meet with our partners, the UTA, trustees. And then after that, there's for those that have been invited to go on the OGX tour, right? So with that, I'd like to have a last motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. It's not debatable. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Good meeting. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, oh my word.
When you missed a lot.